All right, so today our objective is that you should be able to use your knowledge of the Pythagorean theorem to find the distance on a coordinate plane. So these notes are on Schoology if you don't already have them. So sometimes finding the distance between a coordinate plane is as simple as looking and counting the number of units. Like in graph A, I can go 1, 2, 3. Those are 3 away. Or 0.4 minus all the way to 1 is 3 units. But what if I had a distance like graph B where I have a diagonal measurement? Well, today we're going to talk about how we can use our knowledge of the Pythagorean theorem to find the missing length, because we know that a squared plus b squared equals c squared. So this would be our a, our b, and that missing diagonal length will be our c. So we can use the Pythagorean theorem because in a coordinate plane, each of these units is going to form a right angle. So this is our right angle. So we could count and say 1, 2, 3 for one side, so 3 squared. And then we can say 1, 2, 3, 4. So our two shortest sides, or those two sides that form this right angle, squared and added together is going to give me that diagonal length. So it's 3 squared plus 4 squared. It's going to give me c squared. So 9 plus 16 equals our c squared, and 9 plus 16 is going to give me 25, and 25 being c squared, we take the square root of both sides and get that our missing length is 5. All right, and then so like I said, so sometimes it is more complicated than that. Here's your example. Copy that. Cool. Sorry, pause this, copy that. You got it? Okay. So other times we will have to find this diagonal distance and use like we did. So to find that diagonal distance, we created a right angle and used our Pythagorean theorem to calculate the distance. And this is not here because I was supposed to put 2 words. So Pythagorean theorem to calculate the distance. The diagonal distance would then represent the hypotenuse, or the c. Go ahead, pause if you're copying it, and then we're going to look at some examples. All right. So let's go ahead and look at our first example. It says we're going to use the Pythagorean theorem to find the distance between points A and B. So what we're going to go ahead and do is we're going to make our triangle. So, and I went too far because A only goes down this far. We're going to find where those 2 points would meet, and this diagonal, this missing portion that we're looking for, we're going to figure out how long that is. So we're going to go ahead, and now that we have our right triangle, because we know that coordinate plane forms our sides, we're going to count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then 1, 2, 3, 4. So our two sides that form that right angle are 5 units and 4 units. So 5 squared plus 4 squared is going to give me that diagonal, or that distance from A to B. So equals our c squared. 5 squared is 25. C squared is 16. 25 and 16 gives me 41. So now my last step is to go ahead and take the square root of both sides. So the square root of 41, the square root of c squared. So the c times c is going to give me c squared, and the square root of 41 is going to give me 6.4. We can go ahead and plug in our calculator. Let me show you how to do that again. So 41, this button right here is our square root, gave me 6.4. All right, I'm going to go ahead and do one more right here. So A down to B goes that low, and 2 to the right. So now we're looking for this distance, this diagonal distance from A to B. So we can go ahead and count our boxes and say 1, 2 is this side. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So these are our right angle because those are our two straight lines that form a right angle on our coordinate plane. So we know 7 squared plus that 2 squared is going to give me that distance, or that diagonal squared. So we're going to go ahead and square the both of those. So I know 49 plus 4 equals that diagonal distance length squared. So that's going to give me 53. And we want to take the square root of both sides so we can know what the distance is and not the distance squared. So the square root of c squared is just c, and the square root of 53 is going to give me 53 square root button 7.3. Because 7.28 can round up to 7.3. All right, so now what I want you to go ahead and do is pause this and find your distance on 3. I'm going to go ahead and, just in case you are just watching the video and taking notes from the video, I'm going to help you so you can more easily count your squares. Here's our squares. Those are the ones we had to figure out these distances to use our Pythagorean theorem to find this missing diagonal length. All right, pause this, figure out your lengths, use your Pythagorean theorem, and tell me what the distance is, because the distance is going to be the length of that diagonal. All right, did you do it? Then pause it and do it. All right, so we are going to count our distance. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 boxes. And then we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 boxes. So those are our two lengths that form our right angle. So a squared plus b squared equals that distance, or that missing hypotenuse squared. We know 8 times 8 is going to give us 64, and 8 times 8 is going to give us 64. So that 64 squared plus 64 squared is going to give us our distance squared. So 64 and 64 is going to give me 128. And we're going to go ahead and say, what is the square root of 128? And we're going to get 11.3. And this is all in units because they did not give us so 11.3 units. So that is our length. That's 73.3 equals c. So 7.3 units. They didn't give us each block representing an amount. So you would say that distance you get units. Awesome. Did you get that right? If you didn't, do you see what you did wrong? Did you count your units wrong? Did you use the wrong side? When we're doing the distance formula on here, finding the diagonal, we're going to be missing the c. So make sure you plug those in for the right parts. All right. So we're going to go ahead and do some more. The only difference this time is that we're going to have to graph our own values. So if we look on this one, we have, I went ahead and told you our coordinates, remember, are written x, y. That x is going to tell me left or right, and then that y is going to tell me up or down. So we're going to go ahead and plot our points and graph them. So -6, left and right. So -6 is left 6, and then +1 is going to be up 1. So left 6, up 1, because -6 is to the left, up 1, or +1 is up 1. And then we have -4, so we're going to go to the left 4. And then +5, we're going to go up 5. So left 4, up 5. All right, and then I'm going to go ahead and make my triangle. And I don't know how much I like those. I was trying them because they gave us the points, but I don't like them. They just get in the way. All right, And so we're finding the distance between those 2 points. So now we're going to go ahead and count our squares. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then we have 1, 2. So, again, a squared plus b squared is going to give us that diagonal distance squared. So 2 squared is 4, plus 4 squared is 16, equals c squared. 4 plus 16 gives us 20. So our square root of 20 is going to give us that distance. So when we go ahead and just say square root of 20 gives us 4.5 units. 4.5 is C, so 4.5 units is our distance. Awesome. All right, so now we're going to go ahead and do our next one. So I have -7, -7, so I actually worked all these out. They're all going to work on the same graph, so -7, 7 to the left, -7, 7 down, left 7, down 7, and then +4 is to the right 4, and then -3 to the right 4, down 3. All right, and then we're going to go ahead and make our triangle. All right, so then we can go ahead and count our units. We have 1, 2, 3, 4. And then we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. And we're looking for that diagonal distance, but straighter than that. So we're looking for distance from here to here. All right, so again, we have our A and our B formed by the coordinate plane. So A squared plus B squared is going to equal that distance squared. 11 squared is 121. 4 squared is 16. And again, that sum is equal to our missing side squared. 121 and 16 is going to give me 137. And let's take the square root of both of our sides. So square root of 137, square root of c squared, square root of c squared is just c. And our square root of 137 is going to give me 11.7. So 11.7 is that missing distance, 11.7 units. Awesome. All right. And then I want you to go ahead. I want you to pause this and work out 6. So here, if we're working it out, there's that part. So I want you to go ahead and find the distance between 0, 2 and 7, 7. So make yourself a graph if you're not doing it on here, or plot your points, count your units, or, all right. Pause it, solve 6. You got it? You sure? Okay. So 0 means we're not going left or right. 2 means we're going up 2. And then 7, positive 7. So right 7, up 7. These are our 2 points. We are finding the distance. All right. If you didn't solve it because you couldn't plot points for me, there it is. Count your units. Solve it now. Pause it. Okay. So then we're going to go ahead and count our boxes. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And we're looking for this distance right here. So we have our A and our B. I'm going to switch colors just so that it doesn't blend in. We have 7, I want to write in green, 7 squared plus 5 squared equals our missing side squared. 7 squared is 49. 5 squared is 25 equals that distance squared. And then 49 and 25 give us 74. So we're going to go ahead and say the square root of 74 is equal to c. So take the square root to get the square root of 74 equaling our distance. So we're going to be left with 8.6 units. All right, go ahead and check your work. Did you get it right? Did you count wrong? Do you see what you did wrong? Awesome. All right. I'm going to go ahead and erase it. Pause it if you're still copying any of this. Okay. So we're going to do the same thing this time. We're finding perimeter. So I can count the boxes. Here is just a straight line. Here is a straight line. Here is a straight line. But here we have a diagonal line. So we're going to have to make a triangle. And any way you can make a triangle where we have a right angle that involves this as the side across from your right angle. So I'm going to go ahead and make a triangle. We could go this way and this way, with this being our diagonal. Or we can say here, here, and here, this being our triangle. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. Either way, we're going to get the same answer. So let's go ahead and say we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 units here. And then we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 units here. And just to save me some time, that's the same height as the outside of our trapezoid. So I'm going to put my 8 there. All right. So now again, we have our two sides that form our right angle. So 8 squared plus 6 squared equals that distance squared. 8 squared is 64. 6 squared is 36 equals c squared. That's going to be 100 when I add 64 and 36. So let's go ahead and take the square root of both sides. Square root of c squared is just c. And the square root of 100 is 10. So now I know this diagonal is 10. Well, I already found that this part of the trapezoid on this bottom half, this is 6. So if we kept going, we could say 6 from here to here, and then 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So the whole side is 12. So my diagonal is 10. We figured out our height was 8 when we did our triangle. So we have 10 for our diagonal, 12 for the bottom, 8 for the left, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So then when we go ahead and add all of those together, we're going to get 36 units. Awesome. So I want you to go ahead and I want you to solve 8. I'm going to give you a hint though. So when you're solving this, make yourself a triangle. So here, I'll even give you a triangle to find your perimeter. Ooh, that was a curvy angle. Undo. Make yourself a triangle. Let's try that again. Triangle, but a different color. Here's a, oops. Oh, all right. Here, for real this time, is our triangle. Okay. Try. Oh my God, why does it hate me? So from here to here, here to here, make your triangle to find this diagonal length. It is a parallelogram, so what I know is that this is going to be equal to that. So you only have to find one of those diagonals because it is a parallelogram. So they will be the same length. And then add it to your two sides that you can count. All right, pause it, solve it. Have you done that? Then pause it. All right, So when we count for this triangle, I showed you 1, 2, 3 units, and then 1, 2, 3, 4 units. So 3 squared plus our 4 squared is going to give me that diagonal squared. So 9 plus 16 equals my diagonal squared. 25 equals our diagonal squared. So take our square root of both sides, and that diagonal length is 5. And I told you to start with, when we were finding that perimeter, because it's a parallelogram, we could have checked it, but these two sides are the same. And if you weren't sure, we have 1, 2, 3, and 1, 2, 3, 4. Oops. One, two, three, 4, and 1, 2, 3, which would have given us the same answer. All right, so 4 and 3, we could have worked it out again, but it literally would be this. So this is also 5. Then you would have gone ahead and counted your sides. From here to here gives us 9, and again, it's a parallelogram, so they're the same. So this was 28 units. All right, so let's go ahead and solve this last one. So I'm going to do A, and then I'm going to let you do B. And then we'll work together to figure out who lives closer. So it says A is Ashley, B is Bridget, and C is Carly. That should be easy enough because their names start with the letters. So the first one, we need to figure out how far is Ashley from Bridget. So A to B. A to B is here. I went too far on my bottom line. So A to B. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 units. 5 units up, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 units. So those are our two sides that are gonna add together squared to equal that missing length. So 5 squared plus my 11 squared is going to give me my C squared. So 5 squared is 25, plus 11 squared is 121, equals my C squared. So 25 plus 121 gives me 146, equaling my C squared. And then 146, the square root of that is 12.1. Now, when we are talking about distance, which says determine how far it is, it tells us each unit on the graph equals 2 miles. So we would have to go ahead and double that and say that it is 24.2 miles. All right, so what I want you to go ahead and work out B. Work it out, and then once you figure out the distance, don't forget to multiply by 2. Once you have that unit, once you have the distance, answer C and figure out who lives closest. And in just a second, I'm going to start because at this point you're paused. You've done it. Have you done it? You're done? All right. So by now, you're already worked it out, and you're unpausing so that I can work it out and you can check your work. All right. So then our last one. It says, how many miles is Ashley's house from Carly's house? So we're going to go ahead and make a new triangle. And I'm going to leave my first one, but make it a different color. So when they overlap, you know which one I'm talking about. So A to C, so all the way down this way and here. To find this distance here from Ashley's to Carly's. All right. And then it's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 units by 2 units. So 10 squared plus 2 squared equals the distance from Ashley's to Carly's squared. So 100 plus 4 equals that distance squared. 104, again, is our distance squared. So we're going to go ahead and take the square root of both sides. And the square root of 104 is going to give us 10.2. But again, each unit equals 2 miles. So we double 10.2 and get 20.4 miles. So then our last question was, who lives closer and by how much? Well, which number is smaller, 20.4 or 24.2? 20.4. So Carly is closer. Carly with no E. I was looking to see if there's an E. Carly is closer, and we could go ahead and say 20.4 from 24.2. So 12, 8, 3, by 3, and 3.8 miles. All right, so today our goal was to use the Pythagorean theorem to find the distance on a coordinate plane. Use that to summarize, summarize what we learned today. Once you have that done, go ahead and submit this to Schoology. If you feel like you're struggling with this still, we have guided practice. Come to a guided practice to ask your questions, especially if you got any of those individual ones wrong. And then go ahead and do the homework on that. If you're already comfortable, you can start that now. If you're not comfortable, definitely come to a guided practice before you start that homework. All right, guys, have a great day. Bye.